So Kay-0, how does Kay-0 end up getting 37 years? Them kind of numbers are pretty...
Yeah, well, exactly. Kay-0 was a step further than, quite considerably further than the guys, the HRB guys, who they weren't actually on a conspiracy to murder charge, which is kind of strange, really, because it was quite clear that they were certainly planning to shoot Digger D or one of his gang members, but I guess you couldn't prove that they were planning to kill him. But in Kay-0's case, obviously there was a murder. Casey Booth was murdered, and then there was a conspiracy to murder charge. So, firing, one of his, it wasn't Kay-0 himself who fired the weapon, but it's clear that he was part of that endeavor. And, under joint enterprise, he was swept up with it.
Yeah, he released music bragging about the killing with the exact lyrics. Was that referenced in court? The lyrics and everything he said?
Yes, it was. I think the prosecutor couldn't, Anthony Orchard couldn't quite believe, when I think the police obviously must have come to him with this evidence, that there's a video on YouTube which they are talking and singing about the same SIG, Sig Sauer pistol that was used in the shooting of Casey Booth and his brother, and the lyrics of that song go into graphic detail. Apparently there was several different versions of it, and there were sort of later edits where they edited that lyric out, because I think they probably must have realized. But
it's always surprising the case where there's actual lyrics linking back to the crime. They're literally leaving trails, and this one was the most crazy example. I think it was the original that had it, and then the later remixes they had of the song, they was blurring stuff out.
If stop someone, get slapped on the laughing stops. They blame us if we ask, it's not. Handguns like Glocks, how they still pulling up, trying to clout with the dots. They know the gang's charged the lot, so they want us charged the lot.
Another thing about the case, an aggravating factor, was that it was at a kid's first birthday party or something along them lines.
Yeah, that's right. The little boy, I think it was, whose birthday party it was, his dad was allegedly a gang member, and he was the actual target. But they couldn't see him, or he was presumably inside the building where the party was, and they were sort of hovering outside, waiting for people coming and going. And then they saw Casey Booth, I think, leaving the party, and they obviously recognised him and said, "Well, he'll do. He's in that gang. We'll shoot him." Yeah.
Was there anything that stuck out about that case as well that you can remember, like any victim impact statements? That was more, I believe his mother spoke out after. I covered a lot of this case already in a documentary of my own on the channel. The court also heard impact statements from his family. His mother has said she felt anger, hurt and pain throughout the whole case, and that the loss of her son is a feeling as though a part of her is missing.
Yeah, well, actually, one of the most powerful one was with the, I think it was a few weeks before that shooting, which Casey Booth died. There was another shooting where, again, the gang had, they targeted a gang member. I think they were shooting either at a car or a house. I think it was next door to where the actual gang member lived. And they shot, I think it was a couple of brothers in a car. Yeah. And they were totally innocent. They had nothing to do with it. And one of them suffered horrendous sort of, not just sort of physical injuries, but also, as you can imagine, psychological injuries from being shot at in a drive-by shooting. And it's that sort of, they're the sort of collateral victims who just nobody mentions, even the rappers don't brag about shooting an innocent person, do they?
So when you hear a number like, that's what stood out for me, a number like 37 years is crazy. We hear 25 for murder. Why do you think it went up to such a high number in this situation with 37 years?
details, but there would have been aggravating factors. I think, the fact that they were shooting, and any shooting in public is dangerous. A bullet could go anywhere, and obviously there was a kids' party nearby, so it could have hit a child or a parent. Because I think nearby there was evidence from one of Casey Booth's, a woman who knew him, who sort of talked to him briefly before she went to her own car, taking her own children back from this party, and then he went to his car, and so therefore there was children and parents around, so it was a pretty dangerous place to do a shooting. It wasn't, in a house or a nightclub or right up close to somebody where they're the only target. There could have been, it could have been worse. Could have been more people, and sort of. I'm not saying Casey Booth wasn't innocent, but there could have been really very innocent people injured.
Yeah, are they actually tying together specific lyrics nowadays with offences as well? Are the police looking into these music videos from what you see in these court reports? There's even stuff that gets posted on social media with relevance to the case as well. They decide to go straight to the studio after committing a violent act, a shooting at a man at a kid's first birthday party.
Right now, I'm moving one time. You see? Boss head style. You see? Them dead. No. When the laughing stops, somebody gets slapped and the laughing stops.
But yeah, with regards to the actual police force, what is their approach to the social media stuff, the music videos, everything that gets posted? Are they actually watching it and breaking it down?
Well, they have, or they certainly used to have. They've got a whole unit, a social media unit, which sort of covers, it sort of stays across, what's going on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit. They will know exactly what is said when there is a murder, or what is said up in the run up to it, and what is said in the aftermath of it in social media. So they get a lot of intelligence that way. And then it's obviously if a song comes out soon after, or that sort of incident, and sort of bragging about it, but in sort of gang slang, which is sort of code.
Yeah.
Then they've got experts expert witnesses who will sort of go into court and say what he's talking about there. He's talking about that murder or that stabbing or whatever.
I said it in my last video, I'll say it again. If you want to see deep breakdowns by Chris Summers, the guy that I've just interviewed, he has a Substack, and in that is more detail on all these types of cases. Make sure you go and check that out. I'll put the link in the description.